What is up, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and Happy New Year. We're doing a special episode. This is At Year's Beginning, where we take a look back at 3 weeks of comics, which we have not had a chance to talk or review. We're going to cherry pick a few and talk about those, as well as if you're in the chat and you want to talk about any, feel free to start commenting away. There's a good chance that one or a few of us have it. We'll be happy to talk about it as well. Got a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. Joined as usual by Paul, Chris, Ryan. What is happening?
What's going on?
Living the
Happy
dream.
New Year to you.
I feel like we have a year's worth of comics to talk about.
I know.
Yeah, like I just
Forever.
showed everyone backstage. I still have 3 weeks worth of books sitting here that I haven't went to file away yet because we haven't talked about them. And I quickly realized there's no way in hell that we're going to do a show reviewing all of these. Not happening. This is like
I can't even lift these up. For God's sake.
Wow.
Ryan's over there, a digital reader, just laughing. He's like,
Yeah.
that's right.
Chumps.
So real quick, I do want to let everyone know that it is the first Sunday of the month. It's also the first Sunday of the year, but that means we'll be doing the drawing for the December Legion Loot giveaway winner tonight. So I'll show off what's in that. We'll draw to see who wins that at some point in the show as well. But we're going to dive into some books. There's just too many to try to make this organized. So I hope everybody's having a good New Year, and say hey to people in the chat real quick because that's something you do, I guess. Las Crucius, what is going on? What is up, Larry? How are you? Brian is in the building. X11 Bravo. Brother John. Hello. Dr. Von Hoot, what is happening? DJ Links is in the chat. I don't know why that was funny. Comics Journey, what is happening, Miss Coco loves Chevy. How's it going?
What's DJ wearing?
Yeah. Paul Rogers, what is up? What is up? Comics by the Bay. Pops, what is happening? Digger Jim, hello. Mr. Beckerman, how are you? So, also I want to point out sponsor, Cleaning and Pressing, link in the description. Also, big shout out to Big Time Collectibles. They do sponsor the giveaway that we'll be doing tonight. Awesome sauce from those guys. Be sure to check them out at their website and on social medias. I was going to blow past it, then realize that we're giving away stuff that they sent us to give away. So might as well make sure we point out that Nelson and the fine folks at Big Time Collectibles are a big part of making this happen. So big shout out to them. Fantastic people over there. What is going on? Hashtag the other Chris and hashtag Kelly. Just Kelly. How are you? Happy New Year. All right, there's a lot of stuff to cover. If anything stands, I know, Chris, you already said it. You want to get in on DC versus Vampires. I know that's for sure. That's from this week, isn't it?
It is.
So feel free, take off.
Was that the start line? Okay.
Go ahead. I'm going to try to mention and talk about.
That was a very sophisticated segue to you, Chris.
Yeah. Okay. As everyone knows, I've been talking about this book for a better part of 16 months now. It started, I believe, before Halloween of 2021, and DC skipped a few months because they introduced a sub-series, All Out War, that was a little different, basically focused on Deathstroke and this misfit team. Basically, John Constantine's Suicide Squad that went to try and take Batman's corpse to a Lazarus pit. Pardon me. Well, that belly flopped quickly, and then at the end of that mini series, they ended up going up against the Man of Steel himself, and actually taking down the vampire Kal-El. That was last month, or pardon me, a couple weeks ago. This is finally the end of DC versus Vampires, this series, because it is the final issue. This is 12 of 12, and it paces very well. It does a quick M. Night Shyamalan twist halfway through. Paul's nodding his head like he agrees. There is this scene here that's on the cover. It's not really telling. There's not much
mating.
And it's some people. some people would celebrate this on their honeymoon. Not me per se, but long story short, Harley and Batgirl find themselves at the top of the tower in Gotham City as they made their way, or arguably led in by Wonder Woman herself, to face the Vampire King known as Nightwing. Nightwing dances a little bit with them back and forth, a little bit of a hand-to-hand stuff. They realize there's no way they're going to win, especially with Wonder Woman on the other side of the door. And, Batgirl surrenders herself to Nightwing, who begins to turn her, and in turn, actually ends up turning her. As that's happening on the other side of the planet in Australia, the cliffhanger from issue 11 is that Supergirl, basically the world's last hope, was blown up in a space rocket, or like a space shuttle, Paul, would you say? Like a rocket.
Yep.
A rocket that was trying to lift her above the atmosphere, which has been blackened out, so that vampires can exist during the day. They're trying to get her into sunlight, so that as a Kryptonian she can power up again. Well, it made it look like that she actually didn't make it close enough to the sun in the atmosphere, and that the ship blew up. At the end of this issue, it looks like Martian Manhunter is about to wipe out that ragtag team that's in Australia, till he's literally cut in half from the back by a pair of lasers. And sure enough, Supergirl, the world's savior, powered up, and she is now who she is supposed to be.
Wasn't she infected?
No, she was never bitten. She was never bitten.
It's deceased where she's infected.
Right now, Mary Marvel, I believe, is one that's infected. However, when she's in her super form, she's human, but she can't change back, because if she changes back, she'll run the chance of turning back into her human self, which will probably already become a vampire. So she's stuck in her super self. And that's basically how the story ends. The big cliffhanger is the fact that Supergirl powers up, and that's where it ends. We don't get to see she saves the John Constantine ragtag team that's in Australia, because it is Constantine that's running the entire show, a la Amanda Waller per se. And the interesting part is when Batgirl turns, Nightwing lets his guard down, and she in turn then assassinates and kills Nightwing right there and then in his own kingdom on top of Gotham City, as she now claims the throne and has become the vampire queen. I kind of thought if Nightwing falls, everyone that's a vampire would change back. That old Hollywood thing. That doesn't happen at all. He falls, she becomes queen, Wonder Woman comes bursting in through the door, and Batgirl just kind of looks at her and says, "I killed the king. You know what that means." And Wonder Woman bows to the new vampire queen. And that's where it ends. Now that we have two women at the pinnacle of the next volume, if it happens, we have Supergirl leading the handful of the human race that's left, and Batgirl is now the vampire queen leading the legions, no pun intended, of the vampires.
There's pun intended.
That's adopted this world as their own. But it's the whole Australia scene was very exciting to witness her literally just come from behind the Martian Manhunter and just literally rip him in half with just her lasers. But yeah, it was a very good ending to an excellent miniseries, or limited series. I really didn't think, because I asked Tynan himself, I'm like, is there a chance we're going to get a second volume? And he's quietly nodded. It's there if they want to do it. So I hope that it is James Tynan IV that carries on the next volume, because now we get to see what's going to happen with two women, leading these two warring factions. But it was excellent. We got to see massive franchisable characters fall and go out in blazes of glory and get just demolished as well. The Green Lantern was a one-man wrecking crew through the beginning of the series. Rest in peace, Flash. And the Nightwing showing up and showing Batman who's boss. It was a terrific series, and I'm glad I made it my DC read of the year last year. The ending stood up for it. It wasn't, like I said, a stark conclusion, but it was very good to an excellent series. And the way that apparently it's sold, you would expect DC not to shut it off right there and then, and carry on the way that Deceased has, which is again an excellent series as well.
Yeah,
Paul, what did you think?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that there will be a second volume.
Yeah.
Okay, of DC versus Vampires for a couple reasons. One, it was very popular, as far as I can tell. Two, someone mentioned it in the chat. It could definitely be an animated movie down the road. Three, think of all the figures we could sell.
Yeah, McFarlane's already making them.
Right.
Is he?
Exactly.
No, I'm sure he is. If there's other Batman,
is he? Am I actually going to get into this? Okay.
No, yeah, I think they did. Legit. He did post up a preview one of Batman and say it was from DC's versus Vampires because everyone in the chat baptized him. They're like, dude, Batman was like the only person who never became a vampire.
But yeah, this is the scene here where Supergirl returns in full power, and I thought it was just glorious. The artwork for the entire series has been excellent, and also this is Dick Grayson going all barbecue as he falls to Batgirl. Yeah,
I hope they have time in the fourth do it too. But if for some reason they don't, Matthew Rosenberg was the co-author of this as well, so it definitely could continue it with him.
Right now, Rosenberg did singularly. He did DC versus Vampires All Out War, which was good. I'm not going to say it was great, but I'm sure if Tynion just gives him the footprint or the general idea for the second volume, because Rosenberg had his hand in the last few issues of DC versus Vampires, I'm sure it would be a good continuation on. And again, a quiet shout out to Swamp Thing being formed in the last issue with a little bit of, all they needed was a little bit of water to bring Swamp Thing to life because it was in the desert, and Green Arrow stopping and taking a leak to bring Swamp Thing up and then poking fun at Swamp Thing for that's the way that he was created there. Kudos to Tynion for that.
All Out War was good. And it didn't pack the impact that their main series did, but also I think it was, for me anyway, it was a little bit tough to get into with the black and white and the splashes of red everywhere, and it was it was just kind of tough on the eyes a little bit for me anyway.
I agree. But yeah, Mary Marvel, they really pushed her front and forward in that story, and when she had to take on Captain Marvel and then Superman, I thought she was really well done.
Well, some notable ones that I'm not going to dive into was Berserker 11 came out, so there's like only one more issue after this one. And that series is weird at this point, super weird. I'm going to have to go back and kind of read the latter half of it in one sitting because it kind of jumps the shark. By the recommendation of some people commenting on my new comic book day videos, I had multiple people say to check this book out, so I picked up 1 and 2 of Specs. And it's a pretty cool concept. I'm a hard sell with some indie stuff just because of the limited time and how big the pool list is. But it was pretty cool. I'm going to try to pick up number 3. Department of Truth did a special called Wild Fictions, which is just a compilation of those Bigfoot issues put into its own book, which is just stellar. So I just grabbed that because it's on my pool list. So I'll probably end up putting that in a giveaway somewhere down the road. But y'all want to touch on Action Comics 1050?
Sure.
Did everyone read that one?
Good foil goodness.
Yeah, let's go.
No, but go ahead.
Oh, you haven't had a chance yet?
Nah.
So this was just a straight up slobber knocker between Clark and Lex. Like the entire issue is just an awesome all out battle between Clark and Lex. Fist flying, Lex kind of like hinting at and kind of just like chest poked out. He has this plan, and that Clark's part of his plan, and to dehumanize Clark is a big part of his plan because Clark's alter identity is exposed to the world. Everyone knows that Clark Kent is Superman, and Lex hates that. because people look at him as a human, and he's not a human. And you know how Manchester Black was all part of Lex's plan, how him being teamed up with Superman going to War World was all part of his plan. And we saw in the last issue of Action that Lex kind of attacked Manchester. He wasn't cool with Manchester not being a part of what's coming next. And we see what Lex had planned, and he straps him to a machine, amplifies his ability, and uses his, his mind-altering ability to wipe the planet clean of the knowledge of Superman and Clark being one and the same. Planting a seed so deep of people being sure of the fact they don't know who Superman is, that the photos that exist of Clark being Superman, the newspapers, the television clips, anything, if someone were to even see this, it would not even convince them because of how deep Manchester Black has planted that seed of them not knowing. So we have him having, that's how they did it, which I thought was super cool. If you're going to do it without having to reset something, that was a good way to do it. And so you get Clark and Lex fighting out in the space, Lex banishing Clark, like teleporting him to the other end of the universe, and Clark flexing big time and portaling back to him. Like I can only assume that he moved so fast that he portaled pretty much, like through a wormhole back to Lex in an instant, and was done fighting. He's like, Lex, I've never been more powerful than I am right now, and just chumps him off kind of thing, but still just teasing that this is all just kind of part of Lex's plan of what's about to happen when Action kicks off in this new Dawn of DC era. It was wicked. It was a good issue.
Yeah, it really was. And they explained some other things because, people will say, well, then does the Justice League not know he's Superman anymore? But they basically explained how Martian Manhunter basically has put in this failsafe against with all the heroes, the Titans, the Justice League, whatever, so that what they did with Manchester Black doesn't affect them. And then with Lois and John, they were out on the farm, and there's a built-in thing with the farm that shielded them against the
and Son of Kal-El, the farm got destroyed, and his parents' safety and his family's safety got questioned. Is the Justice League even up to snuff? So we've just seen the farm get rebuilt with new defense systems. So you have Lois, John, Ma and Pa all on the farm with this shield up. The farm is completely protected against any kind of attack. So they did isolate the characters to kind of status quo it, which was really cool. Because, like you pointed out a few weeks back, Ryan, we always have to get back to status quo.
Right.
Yep.
And it set up the 3 series going forward. It set up Action Comics 1051 with Metallo. It set up the new Jonathan Kent series as well, and it set up the new Superman series as well with Joshua Williamson. So,
and they killed Manchester Black. Yeah. He is. He's super not alive.
I called Manchester Black weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was critical of the art for this one. This one just, I thought the interior work was a little lackluster compared to what we've had recently. However, the dialogue between Lex and Superman on the moon was just absolutely terrific. And then Superman literally dismantling, the Hulkbuster type of outfit that he was wearing. And then Lex kind of dangling there in Superman's hand, begging for his life. That's stuff that we witnessed from the 40s on till today. And it's something I never get tired of. I gotta admit. And the after stories as well were pretty good. The whole Gotham scene. There was a couple panels I thought the artist kind of mimicked what Cavill kind of looked like. And then the African American Superman, Calvin, what's his name?
Calvin Ellis.
Right. Does the big decree that he needs John Kent to help. It's an excellent jumping on point for this right now for Action Comics. Yeah, I thought it was a terrific issue, and I didn't get the foil version. My comic shop didn't get Action Comics in at all. They were shorted from DC, so I had to go get this and DC versus Vampires at a different shop. But I was happy to get the Ross one. I'm hoping to get the foil this Wednesday when I go to my normal comic shop.
Nice. Another one that definitely not going to dive into too many details on, but this was fantastic. We had a celebration of Stan Lee's birthday by DC Comics. They dropped the Earth 6, which is Stan Lee's creations from about I don't know, like 20 years ago, he did a series of one shots called Just Imagine, where Stan Lee recreated the DC universe and had a laundry list of popular writers and artists at the time come in and work on these one shots. And they went back and gave us 10 new stories featuring those characters in this oversized, awesome read. It had that retro throwback feel to a lot of it. Some of it even had some retro style artwork to it, but it was just a blast. It was just fun all around. I was able to finish that last night.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, it was like you said, it was a whole bunch of, I think it was like 8 to 10 pages for most of the stories. So it wasn't a deep dive into any of the characters, but it was just fun to see them again and visit them again and things like that. So it was really a fun issue.
And they did a little fun trick with all of them too. All of them ended in a way like they were kickstarting a series. Every single one of those that focused on just one of the characters, it was like almost like a little prequel to a series kind of thing. Like, oh, now we have their motivation and their mission for an actual series. I thought that was interesting. Makes me wonder what the plans are, because they had the little tease in that Dark Crisis Big Bang where everyone in the multiverse really had a quick appearance and a little tease, and then we had this. So it was fun. Ryan, what are the couple that you read?
Agreed.
I don't know.
What did you call me? Oh, okay.
You got something, Paul?
No, go ahead, Ryan. I couldn't tell who you asked. Sorry.
Oh no. I don't know. I don't really have. I feel like we talked about everything that I've read in the last 3 weeks.
I don't think we talked about anything in 3 weeks.
we
we did
ever
no
talk about
show
Danger
last
Street?
week and a best of the week before that. So it's literally been 3 weeks since we've talked comics.
Did we talk about Danger Street?
We did not, which I actually have right here.
Oh, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's plenty to talk about, not just this week. Bro.
Well, no, I get that, but yeah, everything I look at, I'm like, we talked about that somewhere along the way. So let's talk about Danger Street, though.
Take off.
How phenomenal was that opening?
That was intense.
I just love that they brought in Dr. Fate to just his helmet to tell this story that's taking place. I don't know how that is going to play out over the long term, if he's going to be telling the whole story or if we're pretty much done with the Fate narration. But this was a big issue because it kind of touched on so many different little groups and all these things that are happening all over the place. But it was well done. For me, I have no history with, I don't think any of those characters other than Dr. Fate. So it was kind of just meeting a whole bunch of new people. I know a little bit about the Creeper. He was there doing interesting things.
Murdering.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a cool issue, but I don't really have a ton to say about it other than I'm excited to see where it goes because I have no history with this. So where he's
pulling from is this old series, which has been featured on Guess That Key, called DC First Issue Special, which is a series of one-shots where Jack Kirby even had some work inside of those, but he did a good job in this, pretty much touching on every character that appeared in that series almost, from Dr. Fate, the Dingbats, the Green Team, Lady Cop, Warlord, Metamorpho, the Creeper, Atlas, which was a Kirby first appearance in there. It was just insane. And the way that I love that it was structured where you see all these people kind of doing different things, and you already see where some of them are converging. Unfortunate situation for some of them. But the main primary point of the story was you saw the Dingbats out, which is like a little kid group, a little gang. They're out rapscallion around. And you have
reminded me of the Superboy Legion.
Yeah, you have Warlord and Metamorpho with Dr. Fate's helmet. I believe they're with one other person. They go out in the desert because they want to try to use the Helm of Fate to open a boom tube to Apocalypse to fight Darkseid and prove their worth to the Justice League. They open the boom tube and they don't get Darkseid. They get Jack Kirby's character Atlas popping through, screaming, "The sky is falling!" He knocks down and starts attacking. And I believe that he killed somebody, didn't he?
Yeah,
Metamorpho.
Yeah, he absolutely shattered Metamorpho, which he should be fine. He should be fine.
I mean, he starts the issue coming in as a
Starman was the other person on the team. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, Starman came
he shows up in a gaseous form, so how could he not, recongeal?
I got better.
And Ryan and Travis, and the reason you don't know a lot about a lot of these characters is because a lot of them only appeared in this one issue and have never been seen again. So that's why you don't know a lot about them.
But it was cool. He pops in, freaking out. The sky is falling, and he quickly gets taken out. So now we have like this whole dead god laying out in there with the remains of another dead person around him. So who knows where it's going to go from here? But it's awesome getting Tom King and Fornes on a title again together. Whether you enjoyed the story or not, the artwork was very stellar in that Rorschach series they worked together with. Some of Fornes's panel work, the panel stuff is just. He's a very visual storyteller, like that panel Chris showed with Atlas hitting Metamorpho, like him leaning into the point. I mean, it was just very dynamic stuff. So it's not going to hit for everybody, but definitely hits for some. What is up? Nelson is in the building. Hello, hello.
Who was the group whenever they like? I thought this was a time jump or something, but then since then I've come to realize I don't think it was. I think it was a whole different group. They're in like a big office.
The green
and
team.
they address
The green team.
The green team. They're like, it seems like they're kind of like, puppeteers of some sort. Who are they? Do they come from that as well, or are they just like in one issue somewhere?
They're from first issue special, which I have not read, nor do I have any clue anything about them. I've got the Dingbats. That's a Kirby first for DC, so I have that one. I'm familiar with that one. Warlord, he's been around in a lot of stuff. A lot of like Lady Cop, I was unfamiliar with. That's a new one for me as well.
I just thought it was weird they kept calling her Lady Cop.
She did too.
Right. Yeah, my thought on it, like whenever they went to the whole green team scene, I was like, oh, okay, this is like those dingbats like out in the desert or whatever. Like this is them in the future. Maybe something happens out there toward the end of all this that explains like why they're so powerful in the future or something. But then I'm like, wait, no, like it starts to add up that like this is running concurrent. So like this is a whole nother squad of people. I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is a lot of fun. So I'm in for it. Like whatever happens, happens. But I was like, I don't know anything that's going on for the most part.
Chris, you get a chance to get through it?
Which one?
Danger Street.
Yeah, I got through it. I gotta mirror a lot of what Ryan said. I was lost. I didn't know that many of the characters. There's one dude that was jumping from the top of a building down towards a kid through an alley. I'm like, man, he's falling like Kraven the Hunter, and like I just couldn't get that visual out of my head.
Because the name, yeah.
Yes, so I'm glad you guys recognized what I saw.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I thought the pacing was excellent. The battle at the end, I thought, saved the entire thing for me at least. Then and yeah, just again, I'm not familiar with. I've seen these characters before, but I can't remember reading about them at any point in my life. So I am going to pick up issue number 2. I thought the pacing was terrific. I thought the artwork was kind of a quiet nod towards the way Jack Kirby did stuff in the early 80s with his work before he passed away. So yeah, I liked it. I gotta admit, I liked it.
I think the unfamiliarity with the characters are going to play to the strength of the story as well.
Absolutely.
Like it's a lot of discovery, even for me. Like I know a lot of them, but there's not a lot of comics with a lot of these characters.
Right, and I'm kind of got the vibe when I was done reading it, like, okay, so these characters are going to be interesting the same way that Rogues was. Because obviously they're both Black Label. Rogues is more of a prestige format. But again, characters I didn't know. And obviously those are bad guys in that story. But the story was fun. And I'm getting that same flavor here with this one, even though they're trying to promote themselves to the Justice League. But my God, they couldn't even handle what came through the portal. What makes them think they're going to handle Darkseid? Like, of all the characters you want to try and attempt to get some sort of verification or not or acknowledgement from the Justice League, you don't go up to the number one villain, man.
They thought having the Helmet of Fate would do the trick.
Yeah, and yeah, it was.
Well, if there's anything that 2000s America taught us, it's that hubris can tell a great story.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole scene at the end there with the helmet itself saying "to be continued." I'm like, all right, good. That's
that was a nice little touch.
That's pretty sharp right there. I can appreciate that.
And if anyone is interested, DC about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that, collected all of those first issue specials in one hardcover, so you can actually buy them. and read all of them together if you're interested.
And it's not too long of a run either.
No, it's not.
Well, I've been seeing some people post just that Dr. Fate one since the Black Adam movie came out. But yeah, let's see what's next on the stack.
Okay, I got a bunch of Marvel. I'm just going to give thumbs up or thumbs down to, and then
I've got some Marvel too. I'm excited to talk about.
And then I want to talk about Nice House on the Lake. Invincible Iron Man #1. Jerry Duggan's now at the helm of it. Thumbs way up.
Way up, bro. That was
way
fire.
up.
That
way
was
up.
so good. That Kale New cover.
Yes.
Yes.
Deadpool 2. Thumbs up, but not as much as that. The Amazing Spider-Man 15. Thumbs in the middle. I am a little critical of that. Submariner Conquered Shores. This is that what if story set way in the future after the world has after the polar caps have melted and everyone seeks refuge with Namor. We're now finding out that some people have taken refuge with Doctor Doom. Thumbs up for this one. It is terrific. Thumbs in the middle for Black Panther issue 12. I am still enjoying that series though. MJ and Black Cat, thumbs up for this. Don't get caught up in the fact that people think that this is a dark web tie-in. It's dark web is happening as the story is being told. This is an excellent carry on from the one shot that was earlier last year by Jed McKay. McKay's at the helm for this one too.
Thumbs up for the story or for the cover, Chris?
Well, for the story, but yeah, you can't go wrong with J. Scott Campbell handling those two young ladies, right? And thumbs in the middle for Spider-Man: The Lost Hunt. I am a little critical when it comes to Kraven the Hunter and
Those
Spider-Man.
young ladies are over 60 years old at this point.
Yeah, but they
It doesn't help you any if
are
put
you
young
gonna
in
tell
front
are
of
you gonna
them.
tell these ladies that they're in their 60s and they don't look good? I get that they're borrowing from then Kraven's Last Hunt to make this story interesting. However, at least put some originality into it. I may abandon this series. But yeah, Iron Man, terrific. Let's talk about Nice House on the Lake. And now that's a book I really want to get into, everyone.
I got that next. Do you want to touch on this at all? Because
Sure.
you know, like
I'll open it up. You go ahead.
I pick up Marvel #1s, right? Like pretty regularly on characters that I love. Because I love Marvel characters. It's just not often the series are able to keep me on. So I tried that last Iron Man one. Me and Chris did a legendary bite the bullet and rode out that Cantwell run. He made it farther than I did, but with the covers, I went longer than I probably should have. But this one was phenomenal. Like this was a damn good read. You had Tony like just kind of like in his little poor man mode, you know, like he's keeping everything simple still. He's got a little flat where he's just banging together a suit old school style, and an attack occurs and blows up the flat. People die in the process. He's kind of getting blamed like it was an explosion in his lab. So he's trying to solve it, not just to clear his name, but
lawyers up.
Yeah, to get justice for like the person involved. And then he gets attacked by a person in a suit. So he's like happy that they came to him, you know, like he's ready to get some justice for those people and clear his name. And it's a good fight. And then it comes down to it that someone is in the suit against their will, hooked up to the suit, like kind of horrifically. So it's a whole nother thing of like, who's attacking me? Who's hurting these people? Are these people associated with me? There's some really cool, like he's a loner kind of thing. You know, Tony's really trying to do it on his own. So you have a lot of great internal dialogue and narration going. So it was just a cool, like whodunit type mystery, good action, great interior art. It was fast paced, but full of content. And Cale New crushed it with that cover, my dude.
It's a great cover.
It is a great cover. Like he just, it was just.
It does end with a little bit of a cliffhanger. He kind of collapses at the end, making it seem like he may be having a heart attack or a stroke or going through some sort of paralysis or something. But he collapses in the end in front of a pair of kids that are taking cell phone images of him because he's famous, right? And yeah, this is the pacing is what was missing from Cantwell's run in the last one. The last one had good storytelling, but it almost felt like 25 issues with just one super long arc outside of the cosmic stuff that happened, and that was only a couple issues. Regardless, it even goes 6 full issues. But yeah, I didn't know if Jerry Duggan was going to be able to deliver with this, but this this is almost the perfect Marvel book for December 2022. The artwork was incredible, like Mark said. It was bright and vibrant, something that you would see inside Batman.
And crisp. It was crisp. You didn't have it didn't look like mail-in art. And now it is a number one. So people, you're supposed to show out on a number one. It hooked you in. It was action-packed, full of stuff. The art was very, very good. So hopefully,
I'll be honest, Mark, I've never heard of the artist before, Juan Frigeri. I hope I pronounced.
Yeah, I was about to say I can't even pronounce his name.
Yeah, I hope I pronounced that correctly. But I've never heard of this artist before. But I will be picking up Invincible Iron Man #2. I'm glad that it's kind of a stripped away Tony, like Mark said. It's like he's not filthy rich, but I'm sure where he was living, it looked pretty damn good.
Man's playing rich. It's like Batman. Like Batman's poor right now, so Iron Man has to be poor right now. But if either of these guys, come on, he's building an Iron Man suit in a flat that come on, he's not poor. He's just
they're like billionaires, not multi-billionaires.
He lost the B.
Poor, they're just ignoring.
He's like 900 million now. He lost the B, so now he's in depression.
Batman's like, I'm poor, so I have to go through these other 15 caves I have. Iron Man's like, I'm poor. I have to go to these other 30 businesses, buildings I own, and they're not
use. Got to do another round of funding.
But
ignore their money.
Yeah, it was good. It has potential, I feel, to be one of the top 3 Marvel's ongoing series for this new year.
Literally in my top 3. With this have Punisher, Ghost Rider now.
I haven't even read it. It's my top 2.
But if this pacing and the artwork and the storytelling, this whodunit, and it turns out not to be silly, I think it'll probably be the best one Marvel puts out for this year if it maintains it. Because Ghost Rider had a dip, now it's come back up a little bit, and but as long as this doesn't take a dip or follow the pacing that was in the last one, it should be a home run.
What's going on, Taylor? You can't end it unless you begin it. Nice house, you said.
Yeah, let's get into Tynan went big for a few series, and I know all of us have been reading this and getting the deep dive into it, and I know Mark and I have talked backstage a couple times. Is it really happening in the Earth? Did it rain hellfire on the planet for real, or were they all kind of being brainwashed, the whole 9 yards?
Well, yes to all of it. Yes to everything.
And what Mark and I talked about, and I said, I don't know if it's real, and Mark's like, I don't think it's real at all. And none of it was real. But yeah, again, this is something that we talked about, the pacing up and down with the pacing.
No, it was definitely real. They
over the series I'm talking about. There's a couple weaker issues, and I can remember Mark specifically saying, I don't even know why they put this issue out, but
issue 7,
right? I thought it was. This is the stuff I think more writers should probably get into, even if
more writers get out of that, and he's the only one that I know that does
it. I enjoy it so much, but. Yeah, it's just
that was just a way to save money on the artist. That's all that was.
Oh, come on, Bueno was excellent anyway.
You could have literally done a page with panels and have the conversation and said they don't, but it works for this series. It really does, because the dynamic of the friend group and how they're all post college and living in different places, and you're seeing. What he was showing you was emails and text messages of Walter bringing people into the house, which was relevant to the issue and the story as a whole. But we did find out everything in this issue that we were wondering. We found out, like he said, if everyone's really dead. We found out what they're in. There's no actually giving you a definitive short synopsis of what Walter is. It's beyond our comprehension and understanding. Whether he's a different being from a dimension or an alien, it's yes and to both of those. They're just higher evolved creatures from who cares where, not even relevant there right now.
When I was said and done with it, I kind of got the flavor. He's kind of like the Beyonder from the second Secret Wars of the late 80s with Marvel. Just this person that decided to stir some stuff up and see what happens, because he has no real agenda for anything other than to kind of play games. And but yeah, to me, it's all the Tynan tropes are here, strong female characters, gay characters that over exemplify what they actually want to do and end up taking a step backwards. But yeah, I enjoyed the whole paranoia part of this book. But yeah, it's a good 1B to DC versus vampires.
We kind of get the whole thing that the whole point of like the whole series is Walter is trying like hell to save his friends. That's what this is about. This being came to Earth and befriended people to a level that he found his own humanity in them, to the point that he couldn't risk losing them. Like it'd be like losing a piece of himself. So we do have the assumption that this isn't the only arc, for lack of a better word, but this is his arc that he's responsible for. There are rules in place by the higher beings that he answers to, which were mentioned numerous times. And they come in and check in on him and check in on the status of his arc. And he's trying like hell to get it into a working order where he won't lose all of his friends. And we get to see the kind of reveal of that long game plan, that this is not, we did not see the beginning to the end of that journey. We just saw the tail end of that journey and get context to how much he's been working with some of the people in the house to make this work and to make the dynamic and the relationship of everyone in their work, down to the number of people that are allowed to be in there, that they had too many. The fact that they can't live in there and burn the place down or revolt, or if they get caught doing that, the people are just going to, the Walter's bosses will just scrap them all. Like we get all of that kind of context. It was super interesting. It really delivered. You get a sense of like you really feel like that was a good ending. But then they hit you with a little to be continued question mark kind of thing. And we also get a look at a wide shot of where they're at for the first time. And they are literally in just a capsule floating out in space, is what it looks like, or in not Earth. they're gone.
Yeah, and to your point, there are definite rules, even not only the number of people you can have, but the type of people you can have.
Yes.
Like he says at one point, someone might want to learn medicine, in order to keep them off of their, off of the trail.
Yeah, they lost
also,
the doctor and have two artists,
right.
and that ain't going to work.
Right. But they also said that they're not the only one. They're not the only group that is like this. There are other enclaves, whatever you want to call them, like this that are out there. And then, Walter basically gives a false impression to the people that they're taking control of what's happening, when he is really still in control of everything.
Yeah, they decided the only way that these people function inside of here is if they know that they're in control. And this whole story has been about Walter and a couple of other housemates working to make sure that the house believes they're in control.
Right.
All the way down.
Showed, Chris, I thought it was very interesting. They didn't say end part one. They didn't send end book one. They called it a cycle. I don't know what that means yet, but I'm sure the choice of that word was very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope this continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost, I hope it continues with a different group of people altogether, like a second volume with all different people, and then maybe a third volume where it comes together like butt cheeks, and we see what they do with these people once you salvage them. Like, you've destroyed the planet, but why did you keep them? What is the point of keeping them? We know why Walter chose these specific people, but why does Walter's race of creatures keep people at all? Tynan couldn't even do that. That's why they gave you the covers with the list of them. And plus, even the characters in the book changed their damn names.
Yeah. I hope that they do a second volume, that they, like, for lack of a better term, like, I want a different Walter. I want a different character that's at the helm of
a savage.
Yeah, just something a little bit more sinister, someone a little bit more darker, that people that he feels like that are scummy kind of people. Go get some murderers. Go get some people that done something in their lives that they shouldn't have. Go get some addicts that are not afraid to hurt people for their addiction. Like,
or how Walter's really humane and trying to save these. You just get one that does, he doesn't like his job, but it's his job to put together an art. Like, get in here. I don't care.
Like
get on the ground.
Yeah.
Get like a prison artist and
and then on top of it all, a cop
Just
Right.
runs tattoos in prison.
They can actually call it. They can actually call it the nicer house on the lake.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice
We need
house
to get
in the
somebody to
mountains.
polish his eyes
the nicest
and
house on the lake.
they need somebody that polish his eyes and somebody who's had their eyes polished and
Yeah. The nicer house up the road.
So another one I'll just touch on real quick. We have a second volume of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I pick up Power Rangers all the time and never review them anymore because I'm behind on them, but I caught up on them. The new writer on it is amazing. I'm like excited to read Power Rangers again. Rita's back. That's the main premise of that, is Rita's back. And she's referring to herself as Mistress Vile. Master Vile was her father, who was like the first person to actually best the Rangers in the TV series where they had to find a new power source, and they ended the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series by getting beat by Master Vile. But Rita's back and everything, and that's the main series. But we have a second volume of Mighty Morphin and TMNT, and this was actually good. This was really good. Dan Moore is on the interiors with it even, and you have the return of, we don't know who, we assume Shredder from his defeat in the first one. We see the Rangers and the Turtles coexisting with each other in Angel Grove and stuff. It was kind of cool. Just it's just straight fan service stuff, to be honest with you. Casey Jones looks like he's been turned by the bad guys. He's able to morph into, I think they said Extreme Ranger or something goofy like that, but it's supposed to be goofy. So yeah, excited to continue reading that one as well. Paul, did you get this?
I did.
I know you did.
I did. It was good. I mean, there was so much that happened in that. I feel like it was like, the big thing for me was, I mean, since we don't have a lot of time for everything, but basically there's this guy who's trying to create new gods, basically, and so he goes up against John Stewart and the Green Lantern Corps, and he has these worlds and dark sectors. And there's a really great explanation of exactly what is a multiverse, what is hyper time,
yeah.
all of those type of things. Where he compares it basically to an ocean that has river. Basically, a multiverse is like rivers that go off of an ocean, and then hyper time are like little tributaries that go off of the river, but then join back onto the river later on. So there's a really great explanation about all those things. But the big things that happen in this book are two. One, we see the return of Xanshi, the world that John Stewart destroyed, basically killed, and that he has never forgiven himself
his biggest failure
from Cosmic Odyssey way back when. From the Cosmic Odyssey, and then also that his wife Katma Tui is alive somewhere, we believe. So that's basically, the two things that happened that are the most important part of this story. Again, I know we don't have a lot of time, so I won't take all time, but they basically end the story with, they have to, John is saying that he has to go and find his wife. And we have this face that says end of book 1.
I assume that this is going to lead into his ongoing series that starts later this year. I also feel like, is this like a kind of a bookend, a follow-up, a finish off of what they did with that short-lived Teen Lantern series?
Yeah, I think it is, because it's also done by the same guy, Thorne. I can't think of his first name. But that's the guy that you met, right? I think didn't you meet? No.
Chuck Brown.
Brown, you're right. You're Brown, right? Sorry. But it's done by the same author, as opposed to Philip Kennedy Johnson. I believe will be doing the one.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to this writer, but upgrade. So it was cool. Like, I hate the fact that there's no central battery, there's no rings. It's just John, who is an ascended being who has like a power inside of him called the Sword of Something kind of thing, where he's pretty much just an energy being. He's an energy-based person, and he finally comes to the realization that he has to share his ability with the remainder of the Corps that also have no rings and no power, and they're just flying around with green swords. I'm like, that aspect of it was really dumb, but the rest of it, like them going against the villain, the villain was awesome. The villain is a new god who has not accepted his god status, and they kind of get into this whole dynamic of being a god in the DC universe, where you have gods always are the god of something. You know, you're the god of love, you're the god of war, you're the god of this, you're the god of that. And because he has refused to step into his role, he's just an agent of chaos with the powers of a god and no restriction. You know, if you're the god of love, you're not going to be capable of hate. It's literally outside of your abilities. So they can't defeat this guy, and he's trying to drain powers from all these dark sectors to create his own new god, and it's forming, and it has like little attributes of numerous gods like Orion's helmet and Darkseid's graily skin and stuff. And they end up tricking him. Like, you can't, kind of like when something's so powerful you can't beat it, they trick him into ascending into his place. And because he's like longing for these days of past, like the whole thing is he's longing for all this stuff, they end up tricking him. He becomes a god of nostalgia, which was pretty cool. But by doing that, they limited his ability where he was not able to destroy things anymore that exist, you know, because they now are nostalgic. And it was kind of a cool little dude, it was smart writing. It was ridiculously smart writing. Like, big props to this writer. And this was all in one issue. It was a little bit of an oversized issue. Definitely worth the read. Even if you're not familiar with any of this stuff, it's all contained inside of it. Cool stuff.
Cool. Very cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Go ahead. Hold it up for a digital reader.
It's a Fire second issue.
Yes.
This one definitely like jumped. This one definitely jumped into where I thought we were going to get a little further down the line. Like, they wasted no time getting there, which I thought was really cool. Basically, we get to the island. So, in the first one we left off with understanding like there's this island where all of these sidekicks from the Golden Age have basically disappeared, and people have completely forgotten about them. They've been gone so long. So in this issue, Stargirl and Emiko are like, let's go. And so they take off and they go to find the island. And sure enough, they shipwreck on the island, just like we've seen per status quo at this point. Like, you try to go to the island, you shipwreck there, and so I kind of thought like, okay, so here we go. They're going to wake up on the island and like it's going to be all trippy, and they're going to be like trying to find their way. No, like they wake up and they straight get attacked. And Wing, like the main one they've been looking for, like he shows up. Emiko gets kidnapped. Stargirl's like left behind. And Wing and this little robot thing show up. And they basically fill her in right then and there, like kind of what's going on for the most part, So this was like, I expected this to be kind of like issue maybe like 4 or so, 3 at the earliest. No, like we got right into it, which means the rest of the series is about to like really pop off and be fire. So I'm excited where we're going now.
Yeah, I feel like they end up on the sidekick equivalent of the island of misfit toys.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
It was fast paced, so I like how we got a little bit of the dynamic, and they get into how like they started, even as they approach the island, they started forgetting like who they were, their purpose, why they're going there. So you get like that mystic vibe to it. And I can't remember what was scattered on the beaches of the island, like what it was made of, but it was something.
It was some kind of dust of something.
It was Miraclo.
Miraclo, yeah.
Oh, that's
what
right.
Power Man uses.
Oh, yeah. I thought you put that in your garden.
Yeah, that too.
Not Miragrow.
Oh, okay.
Works just as good, Chris. Don't listen to
yeah, no difference.
It only grows stuff in your garden for an hour, then it all dies.
Then you forget Costco about it? Brand, the Kirkland offshoot.
Anybody else reading Deceased?
No.
I'm waiting for a trade.
Jesus Christ, this is so good.
So
just imagine DC versus vampires, but it came first and it's better. That's when you get DC. No, but in all seriousness,
the first part of that statement.
Yeah, this is really cool. They finally, like what we learned in the final page of the first issue, the actual dark force, the physical embodiment of death itself, per the Amazonian like mythos. Like they're bringing that into this so that it's more than just a simple virus that went wrong on Apocalypse. It actually has a bigger hand that's steering all of this. The Guardians of the Universe get made aware of this, and then they just scream, "Up! Plans are over. Run for your lives!" And some of these heroes are not down to clown that way, and they want to go up and fight against it. So we're gearing up for what comes next. This was mainly just a story place issue. Most of these issues just go hard and just people die left and right, and the plot just runs fast. This was really just setting that primary catalyst for what's been causing all this since the very first issue way back when.
So who's
And
the
they've been doing
team?
some.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
And they've been doing some really fire Kale new acetate covers that you've been giving away actually on your
So
Tuesday shows.
who's the team going up against the darkness then? Does Constantine still have the right hand in this?
Constantine has not appeared yet.
Okay.
If he will appear, we don't know, because he pretty much died in that last issue, that last volume, saving the day.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to pull a wild card with him right now, though. Like they pulled a big card out, like the Quintessent was like, we got to do something, and the Spectre rolled out. So like the Spectre,
that was my next question. At what point are we going to get the Spectre?
Like right now, like that was the kicker of this issue. The Spectre's like, y'all are crazy. We got to do something. I'm capable. I'll go give it a shot. So in DC's fashion, you get like the big bravado moment just to get kicked in the nuts. So I'm expecting that to happen because like infecting the wrath of God, that would be next level. And that's what these books are all about, is taking things to the next level. But hey, the main man's on the way. He's on the way, and he's been bit. He's been slashed. He don't care. He just rips people to pieces, throws their hawk wings on his back and flies through their ships. People are coming to destroy a planet, and he's destroying it for them, then killing them. Like, he's a savage. So we'll see what happens when the wrath of God itself infects Lobo. I think that's where this is heading, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's my prediction. Like, how do you stop this? You take something as powerful and put something more crazy inside of it.
Yeah, Mark, as you know, I thoroughly enjoyed the last volume, especially the variants that came with it, the movie poster variants. And that was the avenue that led me to DC versus Vampires. Now, when this one came out, I decided, okay, because I'm, neck deep into DC versus Vampires, I'm either going to pick up the single issues and read them all in one lump sum, or going to pick up the trade.
I would say you're balls deep, but head first into it.
Right. So I'm trying to be, I'm trying to watch my mouth on your channel. So, but yeah, I've decided I'm going to wait and get the trade, just because some of those covers and the previous issues, they're gone, man. They're just like Paul said, they're just glorious and they're gone.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Now, yeah, I've been reading DC vs. Vampires on the app. I've absolutely loved it too. For context, I'm letting it build up a few more issues now, though, because of me and digital reading, I still ain't figured it out.
It's tough.
Yeah, I went and read like 12 issues all at once. Then I'll get back, and you said something finished, so I'll go check it out now.
I know at least one other person on here reads Nightwing. Reads Nightwing. So issue 99 came out. That was really cool. Like a great restart to like kind of where we've been after that weird like Nightmite issue or whatever.
That was fun.
I enjoyed the Nightmite issue. I'm sorry. I thought there were parts that were really kind of amusing.
Not my jam. So. I really enjoyed 99. I cannot for the life of me remember what the inciting incident was, but I thought it was really cool that they kind of like built out the history of Bloodhaven and gave Dick a little more history with like this weird vault where like he has something in there like he doesn't know, and we know it's for villains. So what villain has left him something? I guess we can kind of assume that it's Tony Zuko, is that his weird connection there? Maybe he left it or whatever, we don't know yet, but I thought that was really cool because it kind of like built out the history of Bloodhaven as like a whaling port and stuff. And then also that was really cool, like not cool, but his sister's adoptive father shows up after she's like officially decided she's done with all of that, like all that facade, and then he shows up and she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm not pretending to be your daughter anymore. But it was a cool issue. I really enjoyed what they did with what they did with Dick and the whole like Wailing Port and all that stuff. I think it gave some good history to Bloodhaven, where like Gotham's always had like this ancient history, this long history. It's an old city, all this kind of stuff. It's nice to see Bloodhaven kind of get that treatment as well. And the action was cool too.
Digger Jim said he liked it because he smacked those girls around.
Did they
Bold
deserve
thing
it?
to say, Jim,
They
but
did.
I'll allow it.
And I think AR is correct. Yeah, Paul and I just said we both enjoyed the Nightmite issue, and Starfire is Dick's true love. Yeah.
I made it
He
through like 5
gets
pages of
around
that
though,
issue.
man. Like Dick Grayson
Have you
gets
seen
around,
the cake
man.
on that guy?
Like,
Have you seen the cake on that guy?
yeah. Like,
Yeah, every
I
panel
thought
is such a
Green
weird
Arrow in
angle.
the '80s got around. My goodness, no. Nightwing is showing him who's boss.
There's one that go ahead, Paul. You got one up. What do you got?
Speaking of Nightwing,
Oh yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
real quick before this came out. This was just a
Okay.
all around the multiverse issue,
Oh.
the final one shot before the finale, which touches on just who's where kind of thing. And they did it with the story of Barry Allen hopping through the multiverse to see if the Anti-Monitor returned with the Infinite Earths to go ahead and stop him before the events of the original Crisis happen again, which he did. Super fun issue. Check it out.
Does Barry fall in that one?
He falls in every issue.
Yeah. I don't mean trip. I mean, like, does he die?
No, you have to read it, Chris. What is
this?
this?
This is literally the premise of this show.
No, he doesn't die. He does not die.
Yeah,
first of all, that
no,
cover
yeah,
is
he
just-
takes a
how
tour
could
of the
you not buy
multiverse.
that cover?
Like he
Oh,
gives
yes.
us a literal map of like where all these different universes exist. So that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's going to look great in a 9.8.
Big shout out to the Comic Clear backer boards.
Look, they got Hellboy on the front cover there too. That's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
there's no way that's Trigon.
Why would they put Trigon on a DC book?
I don't know. It doesn't make any
That'd be
sense.
weird.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
glorious.
Yeah, what do you think of the finale to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, Mr. Paul Cook?
It was phenomenal. Again, the ending leaves you wanting more and promises more, which is good for. I mean, you get a resolution to what you were looking at, what you read for 7 issues, but it has you basically salivating for what's going to come next.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Basically, what happened is we were promised here that we were going to get Deathstroke against basically Dick Grayson and against Nightwing. That's how the issue opens up. But we also then see that Black Adam comes into his own as well. He basically helps defeat Deathstroke and some of the other people by sharing his power. He says Shazam. Basically, his power is then shared with everyone, all of the heroes that have been gathered there. One of the things I really liked about this issue was the callback to the first issue. Now, if looking back, you kind of understand the very first scenes that you see in Dark Crisis, which is Batman and Dick Grayson and the candle that has come to mean so much to Dick.
I like how Batman just dumps on it too. He's like, "This candle's not important."
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the darkness basically leaves. The darkness leaves Deathstroke and goes into Dick Grayson, but he is able to overcome it because of who he is and everything.
As Becker would say, the light was inside him the whole time.
Exactly. And so we end up leaving Deathstroke a shell of a man that he was. He basically is on life support. He looks like Luke Skywalker in a Bacta tank, basically.
Well done, Paul. Well done. I understood that reference.
Yeah. And then we go to find out that that Dr. Light is now even more powerful than we thought she was at first. So she is now one of the basically highest powered heroes in all of the DC universe. But we end on this scene that has basically some unknown people talking to some other unknown people about everything that's happened, and how now we have heroes that have basically died and come back, and they need to be dealt with. They need to be able, they need to be contained, everything. And we find out that the group that this other group is talking to is Amanda Waller, and with a peacemaker and maybe a female peacemaker. It looks like almost.
First off, context. Last time we saw Amanda Waller was the Battle for Earth 3 finale to that amazing Suicide Squad run that was the backbone of the continuity of DC post the restructuring behind the scenes 2 years ago.
During Infinite Frontier.
She took over, completely won the fight, took over Earth 3 as her home planet. Now we see her in the back pages of this. Like you said, she still has Peacemaker, female Peacemaker, and most importantly, she has an Earth 3 version of Fusion with her.
Yeah.
Who we were introduced to in World's Finest, which is Batman, Superman, Green Lantern fused together via their all three combined willpower. But it looks like Joker, Lex Luthor, and like the Sinestro stuff going on. Like, it's about to get insane. Like, the Suicide Squad is back and wilder than ever.
Right. And we still don't know where Green Arrow is, but Joshua Williamson is going to be writing a new Green Arrow series, so he will take care of that eventually as well.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that was Fusion at first. Like, Ryan and me were talking. It's like, who was that? Is that a Joker character? I went back and looked. I'm like, oh, snap. Now the cover made sense. The Fusion cover, because there was a beautiful Fusion cover by that dude doing those Spider-Man variants for BTC, Chris. Those painted covers. They look almost Alex Ross. Who is that guy? Felipe Masafera?
Masafera, yeah.
Yeah, he did a Fusion cover for Dark Crisis, and I read it. I'm like, where the hell is Fusion? I was expecting them to pull that off.
That was a Miko, by the way, my mistake. Yeah.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you.
You know who we're talking about, though.
Yes.
Yeah, he does some awesome covers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Justice League is basically taking a pause. Nightwing is going to be in charge of the whatever group comes up out of the ashes, out of this series. So
the Titans. They're still going to be forefronting, which I think is pretty cool because everyone's like, oh, back at 75. Oh, they're not going to kill them. And DC told us, like, dude, look, we're going to like let them just exist in their own titles for a while. We're going to give Justice League a break and let them do this, that, and third. I'm a Justice League diehard. Like, I'm going to pick that title up, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I'm excited for it to come back, but I'm cool with this, like, because it's, again, something different. Let's see what rises out of this, because Justice League will be back 100%. But I think this is still cool. Yes, there it is. That is a gorgeous cover. Yep. That's Fusion.
Yeah, this definitely gives space, because even in the Teen Titans series that we had like last year or whatever, you had like all the new people, and then you also had like the older ones. They were basically just teaching, but it left this like really weird gap. So now we kind of have space for like the older Titans to go be like the new Justice League for a time, and kind of see what we can do with these younger kids without them necessarily having like these teachers directly right there, and see if maybe we can't develop some talents out of that.
I'd like to see some more Stitch. That character was cool. That was like an animated object from Dr. Fate's house.
Yeah, there was a couple of cool characters there. I hope they do away with that bat, whatever they were. That was annoying.
I doubt
Scooby-Doo gang. Get rid of them. Take some of those other characters that were cool, like the Speedster one with the blades.
Mm-hmm.
Bolt, Stitch. There was a couple of cool characters there. They can make something interesting out of all that. But they don't really have room to breathe if you still have like the original Titans being the Titans. So like letting them kind of like go do the Justice League thing and see what we can get out of that little group. That'd be interesting. Sideways has been all over the place in the last like 2 issues of the Dark Crisis stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sideways just showed up in some of the series.
So this is a good segue. Chaos said DC is doing some Dragon Ball stuff, mixing everyone. I don't know what that means, but I understand what mixing means. And we got issue 4 of Batman versus Robin which this is the official start to Lazarus Planet. This was a cool issue. Batman flexing on Damian finally. It was cool how they structured it. You had Batman like kind of just going for gold, going into Lazarus Island to take on Damian and the Devil Nazar, and just getting beat to hell. And Damian even like bragging about winning in the fight. He's like, "Yeah, you think I didn't hear you coming?" Blah 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 blah. And Batman finally says, "You think this is my first time walking through here?" And you see where Batman's plan kind of comes into play, and his backup arrives, and he gets the helmet. Dr. Fate and puts it on and has a fight with the Devil Nazar. The long-awaited arrival of Nazar's son shows up. The battle eventually leads to the volcano exploding, releasing the Lazarus resin on the planet to be continued in Lazarus Planet. Had to pick up that 1 in 25 variant for that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pumped for Lazarus Planet. That's going to be fantastic.
It was so good. There were so many like almost jaw-dropping endings to a lot of DC comics in the last couple of weeks. You know, this one with the and Dr. Fate's helmet actually gets smashed to smithereens too. So we don't know what's going on with that. Batman is actually killed in this issue as well, but then
he's been dying a lot.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
When you oversaturate the market, what else can you do?
But rather than put him into the Lazarus pit, I can't think of the character's name, but the witch there siphons off Lazarus energy from Nazar's son, I believe, and uses that to bring Batman back from the dead. So who knows what effect that's going to have on him as well.
Another quick review. Wildcats #2 came out.
This will be super quick.
This was so fun. Battle to stay alive. That's what this book is. Battle of Victor to stay alive. Court of Owls has a run-in. Green Arrow pops in and out. There's some awesome dialogue, funny stuff. They reference in this issue because we're wondering still how they're going to canonize the Wildcats inside the DC universe. And Grifter's telling his nurse in the hospital where he's recovering that back on his planet, there's this crazy outbreak, and Nightwing killed Batman and became king of the vampires and took over the world, and they had to get the hell out of there. So, but of course, the nurse was not believing his lie, so we still do not know how they are canon in the DC universe. They've given us the Dark Crisis excuse. They've given us the deceased excuse. They gave us the DC versus vampires excuse in this one. But yeah, it's fun. Pretty much the team has been so unsuccessful at getting the scientists that they're bringing in the B team. They're bringing in the 7 Soldiers of Victory, but it's not the one from DC Comics history. The leader of the Wildcats is rebranding a team, rolling out a new team, and renaming them because his team is just crapped in the public eye. So they're trying to save face publicly because it's supposed to be a covert team. And he said, we're going to go public and save this team and correct it. And you turn the page and they did the opposite. They got a group of not the team, named them not the Wildcats, and brought them public. So this is a fun book right here. Like it is so it's ridiculous.
We found out like why they're looking for a scientist in the first issue.
Yes, we did.
It's because the other scientist died, so they just need to replace him.
No, but be real here. They have a gang of scientists, including T.O. Morrow, Dr. Savannah. They have all the mad scientist villains from the world that they have cooped up working on a project. And so the fact that Grifter killed the first scientist for experimenting on animals, God forbid if he finds the ones that they do have. God forbid. Like that added such a great context layer to the fact that he killed the one for animal experimenting products. Like, yeah, it's a fun book. It's definitely Grifter and Zealot focused and everything. We did get a Maul appearance. They have Maul on the 7 Soldiers of Victory team. Like it's fun, man. This is my new deep target for sure.
Yes. That's about all it can be, but
you gotta admit you laugh through you laugh through the whole thing. It's
the DC versus vampires thing. Like I was totally like, oh, okay, like I get that reference.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, dude, it's fun, man. It's a legit fun book. It's still fast paced, action packed. It's got like smart aleck remarks all through it.
It's just like I still don't really understand what we're doing here.
You know what? Why are we here? Why are any of us here? Just read the book.
When chemicals bond.
Yes. When cells split.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm excited for issue 3. That's all I know. It was fun. So I'm still looking at a laundry list of books here. Did anyone else read We Only Find Them When They're Dead finale?
I did.
Series finale. Holy damn it, Christmas. This was good.
How many did they find that were alive?
How many what?
Gods.
What a
None.
complex question that was 100% answered.
All of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
All of them.
You read it, Chris?
I saw a synopsis on it, yeah.
So this was fantastic. So we're in the 3rd volume, 3 distinct
Yep.
story arcs through this 15-issue series, 5 issues per book, and then they have significant time jumps. And we were following this character called Theory, which is a clone of Malik from the 1st volume, and not just a clone of Malik; it's a clone of Malik after he ascended to a god. So in the 1st volume, we're following this character who's obsessed with finding a living god. They get to a point where he enters the domain of the gods and reappears as a dead god. In the 2nd volume, you see that the humans that remain in the future have built an entire sanctuary colony around him where they worship him and this and that. And our main characters that are connected to some of the crew from the 1st one steal his body. And in this series, even farther, like we're farther removed from gods and this and that. They haven't seen any in a long time, and they take pieces of Malik that was a dead god and create Theory because they want Malik's memories. They want his experiences. They want him to go out and find a god. All those plans go to crap, and we pretty much are left with Malik looking for a reason of being. Why is this clone of God Malik? Why does he exist? What is the purpose of all of this? And we get those answers. He finds the same place that he originally did. He enters the realm of the gods, and he talks with himself in that state. And you find out that they're trying to understand what's even the purpose. Because if you look back in history, people find gods and they immediately start mining them and stripping them for resources and just abusing them and desecrating them. And we learn that's why we're here. We become these beings and we return. We can't live in that existence. It's too small for a complex being to live and thrive in. But they voluntarily go through in all planes and all time and everything so that they can be mined, so that they can seed the life and keep humanity going so that more people will seek us and become gods as well to then re-enter and continue to seed the universe. They exist.
They saved humanity just to give us purpose.
Yeah, they exist to keep us alive and to give us ultimate purpose. It's a beautiful cosmic circle of life. It's awesome. And one thing that we learned, Richter, who died in that 1st volume from the meteor flying through her head, she was the first god to return to them at the time when all resources were exhausted. Everyone was on the outskirts of space looking for any and everything to mine meteors.
They were like mining nickel for next to nothing.
Yeah, and she's the first god to appear to them. And she was never even born yet. Like it was such a beautiful series.
Al Ewing is good.
Yeah.
He brought this all together in a way that I didn't expect.
Yeah. I thought it was like really great commentary on the idea of like, like maybe God isn't like a sentient being that's just like creating in his own image, but the idea that like God is simply a concept that like gives you purpose to keep going every day, It was really interesting the way that he was able to like bring it all around full circle.
As well as the being created in your own image thing too.
Well, yeah, that too.
All of it.
Like he touched on like every aspect of belief from like non-believers all the way to like the hardcore believers. Like how could all of this exist at once and like all make sense to individual people? Like he gave it all meaning, and that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of bringing it all together, one book that brought nothing together but added so many questions was Love Everlasting. God dang it, issue number 5. This book is driving me mad wanting to know the catch. We have Joni just sitting in a therapist's office, a therapist that is in on the whole thing. Is just playing with her, and Joni says enough is enough, pulls a gun on her, and she says, fine. Your mom sent me here to try to straighten you out and convince you just to fall in love and be done with it. But if you're not going to do it, I'll call her. We'll get her down here. We'll work this out. And she says, fine, good. He's like, all right. Yeah, she's down here. Yep, wants to talk to you. All right. And they wait, and the door opens, and not her mom is there, but the daggum cowboy that keeps following her and murdering her walks in, and lo and behold, murders her. And I just want answers. Dude, I'm so in on this book. It is ridiculous. Like, there's no, you can't leave. Not without answers. It's impossible.
No. Just wait, man. The next one flips it all upside down again.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. With no answers, I'm in. I don't want answers. I just want to continue to want answers, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say earlier about Danger Street is like, this is what Tom King does so well to me is like, he keeps me in this chaos of like, I don't really know. And like, sometimes I don't even know what's going on, or I don't quite understand. But he's the kind of writer that also gives me confidence that that's exactly where I'm supposed to be in his story right now. You know, like sometimes you're reading these stories and it's like all this chaos and you're like, yeah, like I don't even care because like, I don't think that this book even knows, I don't even think the writer knows where I'm supposed to be as the reader right now. I think they think I'm supposed to understand. Tom King seems to know exactly what level of chaos he's putting you at. And he's like, if you just have faith, if you just believe in the process and you believe in me, you're going to get the answers you're looking for. And like, that's really enjoyable. You know, it's sort of like the idea of like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute. Like nobody wants to fall out of an airplane. That's scary as all shit. But you put a parachute on your back and you're in this controlled chaos. Like, then you're like, good, let's go, you know? And I feel like that's what Tom King's writing is like, he puts me exactly where any other writer, I'd be like, this is awful writing, but he does it in such a way. I'm like, oh no, like I do feel like there's a safety net there that eventually we're going to stick the landing. And that's kind of what casting is you're just like, I want answers, but I don't really want them because I love this chaos that's going on around me right now.
How long is this series supposed to be? 6 issues?
Dude, I have no clue. What?
Is it ongoing?
Dude, you better
come on. Tom King ongoing? Those words don't go together.
As far as I know, there's no definitive final issue. I'm on like issue 8 right now. So I have not seen a like X of whatever number anywhere. I mean, I'm sure he has an ending for it because like
I hope so.
This kind of story has to, you know, like at some point we have to have enough answers, you know, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm along for the ride as long as it's going.
Love everlasting. So maybe not.
Right?
That's a good point, Paul. I didn't think that one through, I guess. That's on me. That's on me.
Yeah.
Did you miss it, Chris? So my mom bought me and my brother a present to go skydiving for Christmas one year. And we waited till the springtime, and my brother's wife told my brother he's not allowed to go. And my mom went to watch and everything. And lo and behold, my mom did not know after she bought me a ticket. And I knew she was going. I'm like, well, I'm going to buy her a ticket. So my mom didn't know till we got there. Like, all right, y'all need to come into this instructional little lesson real quick before we go get fitted out and hop in the plane. And my mom's like, all right, have fun. I'm like, you might want to come with me and watch too. And that's when she found out she was jumping too. And she did. She had a blast. It was really fun. If you've never gone skydiving, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm totally into it.
Yeah, it was
again,
fun.
big difference if you have a parachute versus not having one.
Yeah, and the professional strap to you too.
That too.
Yeah. You should really want to look in their eyes before you commit to yeah, I see a sign of life. Let's do this.
It's a commitment, you know, more important than marriage.
Oh, here's Flo. Look where believing got you, Ryan. Buried alive in an unmarked grave.
Yeah, don't worry though. I've seen the movie. We get out in the end.
Yeah. What else you got, Chris?
That's it for me.
All right, some fast ones.
Unless you flash something in it and kick back in, yeah.
Did anyone read this? This was a battle between Red Sin and Superman and John Kent. This was fantastic. You get this dialogue. You get like Superman and John kind of just patrolling around. Superman talking about this, that, and the third, and John Kent like doing their thing, and Red Sin getting out and causing some problems, luring him in. We get this this saying early in the book, like in case of emergency, break glass, which is a common thing, you know, for like emergency switches and fire alarms. Red Sin has the ability to drain them dry of their power. And he pretty much has Superman down on the ropes, and John goes out there to help him, and John's down, drained on. We finally see what that belt buckle he has is all about, because as he's sitting there, like pretty much fizzing out and dying, that dialogue goes through his head: in case of emergency, break glass. And he breaks his belt buckle, and it pretty much gift from the Legion of Superheroes. It just juices him full of that radiation that he needs, and he goes Super Saiyan, for lack of a better term, to the point where we're seeing blue electricity around this Joker. They have been teasing since Philip Kennedy Johnson took this character over that John has untapped abilities that he doesn't know he's capable of. And the more he does, the more we keep seeing these teases. And this was a little taste, I think, of what's going to be tied into Lazarus Planet, because he goes nuts, and it was an awesome scene, like overpowered, just screaming with energy. It was really cool. It was
super awesome. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I mean, it pretty much like led us into Lazarus Planet. So I want to know like what issue specifically and what exact event made it fall off so hard. I feel like there's a lot of people that didn't even keep up with this series, and they feel like it fell off because of something. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great finale. The last one kind of wrapped up like the series itself, and then this one just kind of like was like the epilogue that set up everything that's going to be happening going forward, as we see, John like overpowered and ready to go, and we get the electric blue John Kent.
I'm ready for that.
Ooh.
Sergeant Rock versus the Army of Dead. They stormed the castle. They took over the facility, and they followed the mad scientist. And they actually ran into where they believe Hitler is. So they're going to have a shoot 'em up, pow with Hitler. This is just fun. Just Easy Company versus Nazi zombie fun.
Oh, is it Easy Company? That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. All right. Or First Airborne. Impressive.
Wow.
Have not read this issue.
Did not get the issue.
You're messing up then, man.
Well, if it was delivered to my comic shop, I wouldn't have said those words.
I've read the first 4 pages and haven't been able to get back to it yet. That's the book I was currently working on reading.
Okay.
So it's on you, Paul.
I won't ruin it. Other than here's what I'll tell you. There's a great scene in here with Mr. Freeze and Batman, and sometimes there's just like one concept that to me can carry a whole issue, even if you didn't like the rest of the issue. There's like, oh, that's pretty neat. So Mr. Freeze basically is talking to Batman, and he's talking about how Nora, his relation to Nora Freeze, and how he has basically, he remembers Nora Freeze, and he froze her to try and keep, the perfection that Nora was and everything. And then he says to Batman, and I've just come to realize Gotham City is your Nora.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah. And that's Ron V. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I would say him and Tom Taylor are both really great at finding like singular moments to define a whole issue with.
Mm-hmm.
See, speaking of Gotham City, year 1, I was able to read that one. The case continued, and they were tracking it down, and it looks like that little kid is dead. And that's where it leaves us hanging, like he found the dead kid buried in someone's backyard, and that person is associated with that Catwoman character, that liaison that's been running information. So that left us on.
Yeah, I watched your video, like new comic book David comics that are coming out, and I was like, man, you really latched on that singular moment. I didn't invest that much stock into it. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's chasing ghosts at this point. Like the issue was good. Don't get me wrong. Do what?
It reminded me of Watchmen when Rorschach found that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't ask why a dog is rabid. You don't ask how it operates. You just put him down.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't invest that much stock into it. I was like, okay, I feel like he's chasing ghosts at this point. We're kind of seeing his downward spiral. So to me, I didn't think like, oh yeah, that's definitely gonna be the little girl that he's looking for. I was like, no, this is gonna be like another like whole thing, just like kicking in the door, Like I didn't even think about it. I just acted.
I don't know. I think it for me it has the potential to be, because I'm reading this story looking for the moment that ruins Gotham. Gotham is Metropolis. It is a shining city with no crime, where people can live safely, this, that, and the third. And this story is about the event that turned all of that, where everyone lost their faith in the people of this city, the city itself. And when I saw that, it hit me like, oh, like that could be that moment. I mean,
but I thought we got that in this issue, and it's not the little girl that, like she is the catalyst for what happens, but the issue opens with him turning on the cops. And to me, that kind of defines what happened in Gotham. Like the cops became so crooked, and that's why Gotham fell so hard. And right now, him trying to like save the entire police station's reputation, chasing after this little girl, but he's also like sleep deprived, and he's hungry, and he's thirsty, and he's just like kicking in people's doors trying to find this little girl. And then he finds this grave. Like I feel like he's gonna dig it up, and it's just gonna be like the guy's dead dog or something, And it's like, no, I really thought this girl was in here, because like he's losing his mind trying to defend the reputation of this city.
And keep in mind what Tom King's doing. We're being told how Gotham is perceived, but then he's showing us it's the polar opposite the whole time. Dirty cops, the rampant division between society and different class of people and different races of people, the corrupt rich people that are dirty as hell as well. Like nothing about anything we're reading screams clean, shining city, but that's how the city is perceived.
Sounds a lot like Los Angeles when it was first dedicated as a city. My question is for you guys reading this, is there an opportunity you think at the end of this series that you could see the beginning of the Court of Owls then, or the formation of the Court of Owls?
Dude, that would be cool if that's that. Like I don't,
because they've been there the entire
really
time.
With
right?
is the Wayne, the husband and wife specifically, which is Bruce's grandparents.
Right. Yeah. Because apparently, like I've said, they're supposed to be there the entire time the Gotham has stood. The Court of Owls have been there as well.
I wonder if they're on the court. I could see his wife. I could see Mrs. Wayne being on the court, unbeknownst to Mr. Wayne, who's more headstrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say
she's conniving as hell behind his back.
She's like subservient in public, but she's kind of a boss player in her own respect. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, that could be a cool play on that. Yeah, I think like they're going to. I think the setup is like this little girl is kind of like the cause of why Gotham is what it is. But I think what we're finding out is that it's actually all these other things, and the public image is that it was this girl, but really it's stuff like this, like Slam Bradley just like running into people's houses and accusing the innocent because he's so like out of his own mind at this point trying to solve this case, because he's being pulled every which way by all these different people that
he feels like he has to solve trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Tell you what though, Junkyard Joe is fire. Issue 3 of that dropped. Dude, I hope everyone is picking this up.
It's a great cover.
I hope everyone is reading this, Chris.
It looks like me going to work. Yeah.
So we get a little bit of this is a very subtle story, but we get to spend some time with Joe and the first friend that he ever made, the guy who drew the comics of him and everything, who's retired, Muddy. And we get to see them like kind of existing together. Muddy is now a widower. His wife passed recently. Joe shows up, but there are people looking for Joe and everything. And we find out through this issue that Joe's actually suffering from his own form of PTSD as well. Like his memory and everything is responding to stuff. And it's just a really subtle, fantastic story, man. And they're kind of building out the people that are after him. We don't know anything about them still, but they walk around with kind of masks that look like Joe and everything. And the new neighbors that moved in the last issue and introduced themselves, we kind of spent a lot of time with them in this issue. I guess so that they're going to be playing a bigger part in the story coming up. They know Muddy lives alone, but one of the kids sees this other figure in the house, and we see their school dynamic and everything, how they're trying to get along in the new place that they moved into. And long story short, one of the kids walks over there and peeks in the window and actually sees this really powerful image of Muddy holding Joe, who just had an episode of pretty much a PTSD. And the kid, so now cat's out of the bag. There's a robot next door, so we're now probably going to introduce the kid dynamic into it with the next issue. But it's just it's already like shaping up to be a really emotional roller coaster. Oh, I haven't, Chris. I have not forgotten the giveaway. We got a couple books left. Flash, fun, good stuff. Rogues after him. World's Finest. Big stuff. Big stuff happened. Boy Thunder wrap up.
Mhm.
Slow descent into madness. We get to start to see his paranoia and his obsessive compulsive nature not letting him just exist and get on by with the status quo. Like his questions and curiosity are driving him into a place that's going to ultimately lead into him taking some drastic actions against some people and sending him down the rabbit hole. Boy Thunder is Magog from Kingdom Come. That was a huge reveal. Huge reveal. You want to end it on Starhenge?
Starhenge.
We can. The one other book I want to shout out is Damn Them All. Number 3 came out this week, and like whenever I was making my list for like favorite series of the year and all that stuff, like my rule was kind of 3 issues. Like if you had 3 issues out this year, then you can like make the list. So because at that point, Damn Them All, it only had 2, I was like, I don't want to include it because who knows. This 3rd issue came out this week though, and it is freaking fire. Like I'm really impressed with what's going on here. Like it has a huge universe like thing going on. It does have like some white pages in there, usually like 2 per issue. But it's because you're also dealing with like 72 demons of the Ars Gotia, so they kind of got to give you some backstory there. But it's in like a likable flavor, and overall, I really enjoy it because it's just like building out this huge universe, or like this huge world that there's so much to explore in. It's definitely like dirty, gritty. It's very Constantine-ish in that you're dealing with like British mobsters. So like kind of a Guy Ritchie movie meets Constantine. Very like gritty characters, very dirty world, a lot of like underground stuff going on, a lot of crime and activity and stuff, and it's just like a ton of fun like seeing all these things get unfolded and unveiled. So if you're not reading Damn Them All, I would definitely check it out.
Who publishes that one again?
It's published by Boom Studios.
It's Charlie Adlard, right?
Yeah, Charlie Adlard and Simon Spurrier. Yeah, who was actually writing the backup story with Gordon on Detective Comics.
Yep.
So it kind of reminds me of that too, like that real like weird gritty noir storytelling and stuff. Very like piecemealed out, but like in a very satisfying way.
Nice. Is it a mini series or ongoing?
I think it's ongoing. I haven't seen a finite number on it.
I've only read the first. I haven't seen the 3rd issue yet, but yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
Didn't indicate it was a miniseries when I.
No, yeah. As far as I can tell, it's an ongoing. I'm really enjoying it. It's probably one of my favorite series of 2022 at the point that there's 3 of them out this year. I was listed here as 3 of 6, so maybe it's only a mini. Either way, I've really enjoyed all 3 issues. I think like it just keeps unfolding more and more. I also think there's like a ton of subtlety in the writing, and if you don't look for it, it seems more shallow than it really is.
Yeah, this also came in well after the issues did, but this came in, so I was able to get that signed Dan Jurgens, whatever they call those little things, put it with my book.
I have no clue what that is.
It's just a signed
It's a book
Signature
plate.
from Dan Jurgens on the Superman
Oh, okay.
anniversary stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's random. There's something they offered with the stuff that came out. They were limited in number. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
So Liam Sharp's Starhenge concluded last week. It was a 6-issue series for book 1 of his not self-published, but self-created body of work that he's apparently been working on, scripting, and designing out for years and years. And it's pretty wicked. I've been picking up the A and B covers, and what it is in a nutshell is they're taking concept of this future war between what remains of what you could call humanity, a very evolved form of humanity, and this artificial intelligence that was activated by them unintentionally when they found this planet out in space and were exploring it. They turned it on, and this AI came to life and went to war with them. So what they're trying to do to save their species is go back into the past and restore magic to lead on into the future, because in this, past, present, and future is all at play. And the part of the past that we venture into, where a lot of the story takes place, is Arthurian legend. So Merlin is actually one of these beings from the future. It is the queen's son who is sent back. He's called a shapelark, which in the future they're able to manipulate their genetics and do all kinds of stuff. And it's a crazy story from that front. So you have the future and the past, and then you have present day, where you kind of follow this girl who is orphaned from her parents' death, and you kind of spend the time figuring out how it all connects and everything, while you're primarily focusing on the King Arthur aspect of it. And we get some major revelations in this issue, major cliffhangers, and it was just a wild, wild ride. Absolutely wild ride. Yeah.
And it's only book number 1. Who knows how many books? So.
Yeah. Yeah, this story's been wild, man. I really have enjoyed it. Like I was saying earlier, I think like the art is first and foremost, just looking at how beautiful and how well laid out it all is. And then the story like supports all of that. And I think it makes it really cool, really interesting. And this issue to me was like a great wrap up that, like.
That's from the
So
next one,
good.
right?
See, yeah, I'm just flashing some of the art in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the concept itself is just, not even the fact that it's just like past, present, and future. Like we've seen that concept itself, but how well played out it all is just absolutely phenomenal. Everything from oh man, like that there whenever he like turns into the elk or whatever.
Yeah, to get away.
Yeah, just to escape, and then he still gets hunted down.
Look at that panel work too. Like he's in
Yeah.
the distance, so the panel's narrow. As he gets closer, the panels get wider. He's just a master of crafting the visuals in this book.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. So the character that we followed the whole time, we get the big kick. She got thrown into the past via the events in the previous issue. One of the dreadnoughts, which are the bad guys, the AI that's targeting this race all through time, they actually come to target her and her boyfriend. You find out that her boyfriend is a shapelark, which is one of the good guys, and they have a whole battle. And we see that when her trying to run away in the battle, she is visited by a creature, and we don't know what it is. And it turns out the creature is the piece of the essence of the queen that was sent back to try to trigger her. And why, we find out in this issue. She is actually one of their species as well, but not in the sense that she was living in the future and was sent back to this time. She was sent back a long time ago, and they kind of, you lose it if you don't use it kind of thing. They get accustomed to their surroundings, and she needed to be triggered, to be activated to get back into the fight, basically. And not only that, we get a big kick at the end of this. Like they get thrown into the past when they were escaping, and they get thrown into time era like around the time of Arthur and this and that. And they're talking to another one of their kind that's been there, kind of just hiding out, trying to just wait on the other travelers just to keep the war going. And they're talking about how the passing of Arthur and Merlin and everything. And they're like, "We're passing of Merlin? What do you mean?" So they go into a shack, and we find out that she is, in fact, not just part of the fight. Wasn't she Merlin's mom or something? There's like a big
Yeah, she was part of his bloodline at least.
she was. Yeah, she was one. She was the last living descendant of Merlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. So she's a bigger player than we thought, and she's just now getting activated in the final issue of this. And
Which was the whole thing, right? Like her boyfriend, he had also went through that process of like forgetting who he was and then being reactivated by, I forget his name now, but the guy that they're talking to in the shack. It's like, yeah, but don't you remember that you're one of Merlin's bloodline? And she's like, what? And he's like, okay, well, big web, let's go ahead and like piece all this together for you. So yeah, like all of that was wild, just like the way it's all connected and totally makes sense at this point.
And it was really cool. And then the coolest thing is like knowing about halfway through this that the book 2 is going to be contingent upon the hardback sales, because there was kind of a teetering on sales points. It looks like we are getting at least a spin-off series, whether it be Starhenge book 2 is coming. I have not seen any news on yet, but there was an after credit shot in this. The Queen, the queen of the surviving human races in the future and everything, she gets killed by the dreadnoughts early on, but there's so many planes of existence. There's like the digital plane, the psychological plane, the physical plane, and in the future, like we are advanced enough to access all of this. At the time of her death, which she strangely welcomed, it looks like she sent her existence through multiple planes in different places, and one of them we actually get to see crash land and wake up, and it says to be continued in O-R-E. And I did go and check online, and that does already have a release date scheduled on League of Comic Geeks. So that one is for certain coming, it looks like. So the spinoff of what happens with the Queen post her standard death, I don't even know how you would call it. This stuff is so deep, it is so hard to review. It is ridiculous. But needless to say, I ordered 2 copies of the hardback. So did my pops. Really trying to do our part and push the sales on this. But one of them, when it comes in, will be going into the Legion loot, and the other one will be going straight to my immediate read list, because I've got to go back through this.
Yeah, I definitely need to reread this. 2023 to present. Or number 1, April the 12th, 2023. Let's go. Oh, man. It's such a like Predator style cover, too.
Yeah, and on that note, Liam Sharp will be doing the next Exo Manowar series.
Yeah, which is going to be fire as well.
That's another one of those artists that I just kind of follow around. He's just a visually captivating artist for me.
Other than that weirdo Batman book, I agree.
Oh man, I thought it was cool. It reminded me of like the Joker Asylum stuff, but that book was weird. Like I get that, I blame that on the writer.
Oh yeah, it was definitely more writing than art. But even so, like honestly, I mean, it's hard to say this because everybody would be like, "Oh, but look how dark, this book is, Starhenge." But there's like a ton of gray work going on, a lot of like gray tones going on in Starhenge. Like Batman Reptilian or whatever, that book was so black, and then it was like, we're gonna do black backgrounds with a black Batman suit with like oil pitch black. Like it was just so dark. It was like nothing here really stands out to me. It just looks like a bunch of black pages. Starhenge is like absolutely beautiful with all the like galactic nebulas and all that kind of stuff going on, and then you have like all the like crazy stuff with the people on the shores of the British Isles and all that.
And the
like that balance is really great
in this issue. We had the finale of Arthur's story. We pretty much saw Arthur's entire life story play out from before he was born with his father to him coming up to him about to take over, but have to come home at the last minute to deal with the problems on the home front, to his death. And that death blow, man, taking up like 3/4 double splash. Like I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
That feeling of disbelief, you could see it on his face. Like I was supposed to rule it all. Like your heart just drops for him.
Yeah.
Hello, Rob. What is happening here? Just in time. So we got just a couple minutes left, and we're going to do that drawing. I got it up right here. So big shout out and thank you to all the channel members. There's like 70 something channel members, and we have just at 60 of them in the the Legion tier to be entered into the giveaway sponsored by Big Time Collectibles. So before I spin that, let me do this and show off what's in this month's Legion loot. So we have that Batman, I think it's 118.
Yes.
Paul, Chris, somebody?
Yep.
Batman 118 Miko exclusive, black and white with Joker in there. Gwynverse from David Nakayama. We have the
Issue
Spider-Man.
4, I believe.
Might be. I have a lot of those. They're all different ones, but David Nakayama's done a cover for each of them so far, I believe. That Spider-Man Exodus, or Spider-Man 2099 Exodus #1 with that 300 homage. For Chris, James Tynan's The Closet from Image
Nice.
Comics. This was his Substack book, his first Substack book that's been released.
That was they did that last spring. Very nice. That's a great cover.
Mm-hmm. I saw that on a lot of people's short list for reads of their indie reads of the year for them too. So I haven't read it or anything, but it seems like it's got some good praise. Legal Burning has been sponsoring the Legion Loot giveaway as well. So you got that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, dude, his work is insane. And then for the Beta Ray Bill folks out there, I know Dale is at least a Beta Ray Bill person.
Wow.
And then I picked up a copy of Action Comics 1050, the John Jang variant is getting thrown in there. And then lastly, we have Venom #1 in a CBCS 9.8, the Scon variant. And these are numbered to only 300 copies. This is number 42 of 300. So those are the books that are in this month's Legion loot.
That Venom is incredible.
That Batman is 125.
125. Okay, so 118 was the what was that?
One. It
Abyss?
had the
Abyss.
broken down the middle. It had Joker
Yeah.
on one side, and
Got you. So that was the Abyss one. All right, so big thank you to everybody again. Let's spin this bad boy. Should I shuffle it a few times?
Yeah.
All right,
Great.
tell me when to stop.
Yeah, make sure my name gets to the top.
Now.
All right, so let's spin this bad boy. And the winner of the December Legion Loot box and the first Legion Loot giveaway of 2023 goes to Tyler.
Wow.
So congrats to Tyler. I think he won one just a few of them ago, like in a.
Yes.
He wasn't on the stream when he won, and I didn't tell him. I just shipped it to him, and it arrived, and he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, what'd you send me?" I said, "I just open it and see."
Yeah. Congratulations, Tyler.
Right.
I sure hope you like that
Yay.
I've
slab.
got a bunch of these, Chris. You need one?
Sure do.
What number do you want?
He's got 1 through 300 except for 42.
No, the lowest one I have is number 2.
Oh, wow.
He didn't. No, I don't know what it is about that book. It's just been very accessible to me. I don't know what it is. This specific one right here came in my Miko box. I did get a hit in that last Miko mystery box that I purchased. That was the big hit. It's got $150 retail value. So that box is valued at over $200 and something. So congrats. Guys, I appreciate y'all coming on. Definitely a good start to the year. Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
For those that are watching and been riding with us, Chris has recently passed 1,000 subscribers a few times. So it's
I did it to myself though, getting all excited. I like every time I cross over a milestone number, like everyone else, you get that reality check. Like, hey, you just crossed over 500, kick in the butt. Oh yeah, you're back down to 495. Well, I got caught up in the moment, hitting 1K, and everyone sent me all these wonderful messages. Woke up the next morning after being at 1001, woke up to 990. I'm like, God damn it, I got to do it again. And I messaged Mark, and Mark's like, what do you think was going to happen, man? What's wrong with you?
yeah. Dude, it happened. So I
I
did
didn't know by the time you hit 1,000.
Yeah.
So I did a Friday morning community hangout. I had like 987, 88 subs. And we're like, we're going to sub push this channel. We're going to stay live today till we hit 1,000. And we did. We hit 1,000. And within 5 minutes, someone's like, dude, you just lost a bunch of subs. And I looked and I lost 15 subs. It knocked me back down to lower than I started. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Let's keep pushing. So we pushed it up again and it dropped again. I said, you know what? Screw it. They'll all pop back up in a day or two. And they do. Like, it's just when you get a fast sub push, it triggers YouTube that you're botting your account. You know how people pay for subscribers and stuff like that? It sends the YouTube red flag.
I wasn't
People
aware.
that do that?
Yeah. There's a couple of people out there that definitely do that.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Stirring the pot.
Yeah. They know what they do. They know what they do. Enjoy your hollow subscribers.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, but I appreciate y'all hopping on. We'll kick it off with that. Chris, you got any announcement of when you're going to be doing what in the
I'm in the process of monetizing right now, and I'm not sure how long that's going to be. I know a couple people have messaged me like it may take a couple days, may take about a week, but it won't take a month. So after that happens, I'll make an announcement. But everyone, please, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time, Rob on Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics is going to be going live, where he's going to be giving away everything apparently in his collection. If you watch that video,
if you watch his channel and you look behind him, those are actually the giveaway prizes.
That could be yours. Yes.
By the end of Rob's stream tomorrow, his background and Chris's will be identical.
Well, we'll be twinsies. Yeah, but yeah, no. Rob's got a bunch of books he's going to be giving away. Some are autographed and remarked. I know the grand prize is going to be the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099 in ASM 365, and then a 9.8 or 9.6 copy of 2099 #1. And I know he's going to be having some members of the community come on as well in celebration of this.
Do that 5 p.m. Eastern time is some baby back bullshit.
Yeah, but hey, I'm not going to argue with the man. He wants to go live at 5. I'm just along for the ride. But yeah,
I'll argue with anybody.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone, please check out that live stream tomorrow. Let's help support Rob. I believe he's going to be beginning his channel membership in and around that time as well. And I believe he's mentioned a few times everything that he earns from his channel, he will be donating to the American Cancer Society
Association. But you're still in his Steam right now. Chill out, bro.
Yeah. So
he hasn't announced none of this yet. Chill out.
He's announced it all. If you watch Only Slabs, that award-winning show that I co-host every Saturday at 2:30 p.m.
There it is. Mark needs to get up at 4:30 a.m. and bitches at 5 p.m. slot. I'm really sad because I'm literally at work, and like that's just that's my shutdown time when we stop what we're doing and we have to start going through routine stuff at work. And I just want to be there really badly. And it looks like I might not be able to make it. And that just bums me out.
I will drag it out.
What it is Rob's been like one of the biggest supporters of my channel. Like he says, he gets up at 4:30. Rob is one of my favorite people in the community to hang out with. He supports the shit out of me, and he's one of my good friends. And I want to be able to do the same for him. And it makes me feel bad thinking that I won't be able to make it.
He sent me this for free. He's like, "Hey man, I'm going to send you this. Just make sure you wear it."
Oh my god!
Yeah, if only you had other friends in the community that sent you shirts for free.
Yeah. You were the first. This is true.
Oh yeah.
Shipping was probably twice as much as the shirt.
It was in my case.
But no, everyone, please again go check out Rob. A lot's going to be happening for him and his channel tomorrow around 5 o'clock Eastern. Pardon me, real time. And I believe his thoughts about it is people that enjoy his channel from the other sides of the world and everything will have an opportunity to participate in some of the giveaways and stuff.
I want to see his analytics. I want to know what percentage of his viewers are on the other side of the world.
Yes.
Let's have this conversation.
Yeah.
No, but another big announcement. Paul and myself have a video dropping on his channel.
This is true.
Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, where we'll be making a big announcement. If you don't see that video, you're definitely going to want to check it out. But we give the time and place for the final Dark Crisis Deep Dive, which will be a live show with a giveaway of more than
What day are y'all announcing my winning?
42 individual books, a trade paperback with 12 issues, and a poster. So collectively more than 50 issues. Huge, massive giveaway. And we're going to do a live show so people could come and we can just talk about Dark Crisis, the final issue, the whole event. And people are invited onto that stream if you read it and want to come talk. So it's going to be a fun little bookend to season 1 of the DC Deep Dive on Sector 2815. So, date and time and details are all on that video. And also, if you're watching now and you read that and you want to hop on and join us, it's going to be on the 11th at 9
p.m.
9 p.m. on the 11th. And obviously, there's limitations to the number of people that can be on a StreamYard stream. So if you read it and you're able to join us, we'd love to have you. Just message Paul or myself so we can pencil you into the panel before it fills out. Cool. Ryan, what do you got going on?
Whole lot of nothing at the moment. Extremely busy time of the year, so we'll see what the next couple of weeks bring. But I have no plans at this moment.
Tomorrow I've got a fun video. I'm trying to get avatared tomorrow. So that ISOM video still haunts me till this day. It's almost at 10,000 views. It will not stop. So I'm like, I wonder if I can do that again. Let me take something else that's really hot and see if I can bank on people checking it out. So I bought those 3 movie prequel Avatar books that came out from Dark Horse. These things are actually ridiculously nice. These are all individual comics. They're oversized comics in hardback form. It's basically a movie. It's a screenplay from James Cameron that comes just right before the actual film. So I ordered these things, got them in 2 days from my LCS. Always go through your LCS when possible. I read them in one sitting. It was actually really damn good. And then I reviewed them. It's available for channel members now, but it's like canon to the Avatar movie stuff. And I'm going to try to put that out and see if something other than ISOM can get a lot of views like that on my channel. So I'm going to see if that's a thing or see what it does, if it does anything. But all those
I think there's care about ISOM. You're not going to have the same problem with Avatar. Nobody cares.
Well, I don't think it'll have the same viewership either because the ISOM stuff exists on this platform. You know what I mean? That's where the viewers are already at. Like Avatar people are just any and everybody all over the place. But it would be fun to start getting like regular comments like on a regular basis that aren't ISOM because Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I knew what I was doing when I ordered that to make a video on it. And I got lucky that I was on the front end of people putting a video up on YouTube, but God, I regret it. I regret it so bad.
It's tough.
I should probably show off my copy of that at some point. But I do have that book. I have read it. I can confirm it's about the most generic book. Like it's literally as middle of the road as a comic can come. And
watch your words, Ryan.
Like the amount of polarization that people have in your comment section is just insane to me because like it is not the worst thing I've ever read. Neither is it the best thing I've ever read. It's about as middle of the road as they come.
It's pretty forgettable, to be honest with you. It's not bad, but it doesn't stand out.
Yeah. Like, you know, by all rules and definitions, it holds up to be a competent story and a comic that you can read and follow along, but you're probably not going to remember it in 6 months because it's just that bland. So, yeah, it's just amazing that you're still getting comments on something that bland.
I don't even know what it is. Who's the publisher?
It's an independently published book.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just some guy that's like an extremely polarizing figure wrote a comic book and convinced people that there are problems that exist in the comic industry. The people he convinced.
Is it a Dynamite book?
No. So I had seen like news articles where this upcoming indie book has pre-sold over $3 million worth of pre-sales. So I'm like, what is this? So I checked it out, ordered a copy, and then started looking into it. I'm like, if this is going to be a big deal, let me check it out, read it, see if it's any good, and review it. And It wasn't bad. Yeah, that's the name of the YouTube channel. The guy,
Yeah.
so it's a YouTube personality, and who just has his complaints about the industry and did the right thing and went and made his own comic. And you don't like the industry, so you make your own. But ironically, he still complains about the industry.
Also, he he polarizes using a base of people that he's like convinced them there's all these problems with the industry, but none of these people read comics. So now they're angry about problems the comic book industry has, but they don't read comics. So
And they're also not problems. They're literally opinion complaints.
Yeah.
This sounds like people that have formed their opinion politically from the 6 o'clock news.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Like it's crazy. Like, yeah, they are like pitchfork carrying baboons that are like, oh my God, I can't believe this and this about all the comic industries. And it's like, but then you watch their reviews, they're like, okay, so this is the first comic book I've ever read.
And it's the best one that's ever been written.
Yeah, it's the best one that's ever been written.
So yeah, I don't have any hate for the book. It was a decent read. Like
Yeah.
I give it a solid 6, to be honest with you. But it was also a 90. It came out in a trade paperback size. Like it was
like a Grello.
It's
like,
not individual issues. It's just came out in a 96-page trade paperback format. So like you had a lot of space to do a lot, and they didn't
color coded.
They didn't do a lot at all.
Oh. Yeah.
I give it a
orange or
no. It's yellow to yellow green. Like it's at the top of Ryan's glasses.
Yellow green. Okay.
Yeah,
Grello,
I would
Grello,
like I said, more
Grello.
yellow than green, but yeah, probably like yellow green.
So it goes green, yellow, orange, then red.
Right.
So I give it like a bottom of the yellow green, but like I thought that this was like maybe his first time out like writing, but apparently it's not. So I was a little forgiving, like thinking it was like there's some editor issues that they missed over stuff. And my God, I should have never pointed that out. Like in the video I pointed it out and showed on screen the panel where there was like major grammatical errors. And people literally told me that those weren't grammatical errors. Like that wasn't that's how it's supposed to be said. I'm like, what are you talking about? It literally said, I'm going to the, for the back. Like there's literally like, it looked like someone like did a copy paste on like 3 words in a blur. I'm like, dude, no, it's fine. That happens in comics all the time. Like there's a lot to edit. You miss stuff. That's how it happens. Like an editor can use an editor every now and then, but they were offended that I pointed that out. I'm like, are you high? Like in the back of this book, the writer asked for people to critically review it because he appreciates the feedback. Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I think that was just like an attempt to pretend like you had like goodwill or something. But
thick skin.
Yeah, but to be fair though, Mark, was that your review or was it just your opinion?
Yeah. So like,
all coming in with the fine print again.
No, that's literally a conversation I had in the comment section, dude. Like people told me like a good video, but you obviously thought it was an 8. I'm like, what? Like something like I didn't even use my color code scale because I assumed like more people would see this in my normal audience. I used like a number scale because that's more universal. And people told me, appreciate your review. You clearly gave it an 8, not a 6, though. I'm like, what? And then one guy said, like, yeah, I would say you did a good job, but I hate people that pretend like they're reviewing stuff but just give their opinion. I'm like, wait, what? What? What are you talking about?
It's amazing, man.
It was the weirdest conversations I've ever had.
Yeah, so if anybody was wondering if we were going to talk about our favorite controversy of 2022, there you go.
Yeah, for me personally, it was that ISOM video. For this channel, it was reviewing that book.
It's just crazy people reacted to it like that.
All that to say, I still might pick up issue 2. Just to see where it goes, see what happens, and I'll probably just review it on a Sunday night.
Not do a video.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna review it on a Sunday night for the regular crew here, like, and just avoid like I'm not after views on my channel. That's not what I'm here for. So I'll probably just put it right here and hopefully dodge all those people altogether. But if anyone's legitimately interested and care and has no personal stake in something that they're not even personally attached to, I'm just curious to see like what improvements he makes. He actually has the artist who was working on Superman Son of Kal-El in the beginning of it is actually working on this book now. Like, so he actually is starting to bring in for someone who hates the industry, he's bringing in actual industry members, and he's writing a book.
Because Son of Kal-El seems like the exact kind of thing he would use as like a flag-bearing example of what he hates about the industry.
It actually is the artist who was on it left the book because Tom Taylor decided to make John Kent bisexual, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Like, he should have stuck around to see what Tom Taylor did with that, because
John Timms is the guy.
That book is phenomenal. I get people like I don't agree with their complaints. I hear what they're saying, but like if that book was about him being bisexual, it'd be one thing, but it's not.
No, that's a thing that happens in like 2 issues or something.
An artist left because a character that's presumably a late teenager, early 20s, was struggling with his sexual identity.
I don't think he was struggling with it at all. He left because they think that they were virtue signaling Superman, and to a degree they probably were. But the thing is, it actually worked.
It up.
So he backed it up. Exactly. There's plenty of bad writers who virtue signal. That ain't what happened here. Like, Tom Taylor came out and said, the last thing we need is another straight white savior Superman. Yeah, he virtue signaled. But he did what most people can't do. He backed it up, like Brian just said. And
but my point is, the artist left. The artist who started on the series left because of this. Does this mean then that he will refuse to work with James Tynion IV or these creators now that have come out of the closet? If he has an issue with a comic book character, I'll say that again, a comic book character, identifying that way. What about people who live and this is who they are? Like, i.e., James Tynion IV, one of the most famous writers in comic books right now. Like, is this now he's going to refuse? I'm not working with Tynion.
To answer your question seriously, I don't think he has a problem. I think he had a problem specifically because he thought that they were virtue signaling by taking something as iconic as Superman's S and handing it over to the LGBTQ plus community, which, again, that can happen. That happens in comics. That happens in any media, but that's not what happened here at all. He jumped the gun, got his panties in a twist about something that didn't happen. You know what I mean? So to your question, I can't answer that directly, but I have no doubt in my mind that this person has any animosity or ill will in their heart directly, knowingly toward that community. He felt slighted by them turning a character out. People will get race swapped or gender swapped or sexual preference swapped or whatever it's called. But again, like, look what they did with Alan Scott. Perfectly done, perfectly executed. Like, dive into that character. Part of him being a golden age character and the idea of him having to live through those years publicly as a straight man when he was, that's a whole angle and like a faction of real world that people can relate to. Like, that's not all that character is. That's just a piece of him. He's still Green Lantern. He's still Alan Scott. Nothing about him has changed. There's just another thing that if a writer decides to want to do something with, they can. They did that with nothing about John Kent changed. Nothing about that character. Now, I'll give it to you. Tim Drake, the writer's not good enough to pull it off. The writer is not good enough to pull it off. Tim Drake's story is about being gay. It is. That, like, what's the Robin comic about? He dates a guy named Bernard. Like, that the writer's not good enough.
Chip Zdarsky handled it better in one issue than everything I've heard about that whole story. Like, in that, what was it, Batman 125? He's just like, it's great to see Tim happy. Boom, done. Handled way better than a whole freaking series about it.
Yeah, that was that whole special where they had like the Super Son sitting there explaining to each other what pronouns are and like stuff like that. That's just lazy writing. Like, you did not tell a superhero story. You did not advance these characters' lives. You literally just took a second to do social commentary without any comic book context to link it to the book. You do have to remember, you are in comic books. All of this stuff has a proper place. All this stuff should be in there. But in terms of the universe that you're in, you can't forget that you're not in the real world. You're in a comic book world. You have to write it to the context of that. And when done, it's done phenomenally. Like Racial Injustice, Mr. Miracle, Source of Freedom, heavy-handed in the first issue, and then they balanced the rest of it out and made a stellar miniseries. Remember when that came out? I was like, dude, this first issue is just beating me over the head trying to tell me that Metropolis is a racist place to live. That's never happened in comic book history. Like, this is the shining city on the hill where everyone can live happily. What's up with this? Like, don't try to rewrite history. Like, that's why I hate John Ridley. Like, I mean, I get where your heart is, but you're not going to baptize and sacrifice these characters. Like, don't convince me that Dick Grayson is a racist asshole. Like, that you try to convince me of that the whole Teen Titans avoid minority pieces of the city because they don't care about them. Like, no. You try to tell me that Superman is an overbearing control freak and wouldn't let Kara out from under his cape. No. You try to tell me that his innermost desire is to murder people. No. Like, there's a difference between being a good writer and telling these nuanced stories and getting these messages across to people who might not believe them. You have an opportunity to show people a side of the world that they might not have experienced except through these books. And if you hit them over the face with it, no one has the opportunity to learn. You can't learn by being told. You have to experience. That's why that Young Justice book was trash. That's why Son of Kal-El 16 will make anybody cry. When John feels like he's afraid to tell his father, Clark, Superman, who he loves. And Clark, this is how smart Tom Taylor is. He didn't say, that's okay, that's perfect. He did not co-sign, oh, you love a boy, that's perfectly fine. No, it's not. It's not okay just to love any boy. It's not okay to love any girl. I support you loving anyone as long as they make you a better person. You know, there's the caveat that's attached to any parent's love for their kid. Whoever you love, as long as you're better for it, I'm for it. Like, I'm like, dude, that is flawless execution. And it wasn't even a passing thought. Don't care. You're my son. You know, you're my Superman.
Right. Literally, in that issue, he restates all of like Superman's values and virtues without updating them, while also updating them. Like, nothing had to change. It just had to be stated in the present for it to make sense in the present. Like, don't judge people, just protect people. And that's literally what happened in that book. Was like, I don't care who you love. I just care that you're safe and you're okay, you know?
And you're a better person. Like, they had, and so what's unfortunate is that artists who left that title will never read that. I guarantee you, who will never sit down and read that and see where he jumped the gun, where he had no clue what was coming, and he's probably going to feel validated in his decision by all the outrage viewers that just get all this crazy traction on their channel, and they know no better because they don't look anywhere else. They assume whatever this person is saying is fact, and it's coming from people who are not actually involved in comic books. It's unfortunate. Needless to say, the books are clearly doing good enough because this year we get the kickstart of Action Comics coming in hard. We get Superman back with an all-new #1 in the dawn of the DC universe. John Kent, ooh, they were crying, oh, they canceled it. Nope, psych, bitch. His run ended and he's getting a whole second run. Adventures of Superman with John Kent is coming, and clearly they're adding Calvin Ellis to the roster. So, dude, I can't stand those outrage channels. I actually send Paul messages often where I'm like, hey, look what I go over there and leave comments just eviscerating their bad points that they're trying to spew. I'm like, hey, did you even read this? Because that didn't happen. But it just bums me out when people just try to dump on books unjustly.
Yep.
Bless me. Great show, guys. Great show.
Great show. I was just going through some of the comments from earlier tonight. Your dad said Chris would love Spider-Man versus vampires. I'm like, that's happening, man. Morbius.
That's what I said right under it. Then Becker said I would love to skip Spider-Man versus vampires. Morbius, he said, yeah. And then they said, what about Speedball versus vampires? Yeah, I agree. It's just no.
Don't knock it till you try it.
No. And that was one of the biggest things that people were trying to argue with me about on that ISOM video, because in the back of it, the writer says that, are you tired of a universe resetting all the time? Are you tired of too many issues, not knowing where to start? Are you tired of creators that hate you? And I went down that list. I'm like, well, the universe has been around for a while. You can't cry foul because you weren't born in 1938. Creators that hate you, that's absolutely not true. There's some heavy-handed ones out there that you'll disagree with, but the vast majority of these writers are not like that. I have a huge pull list, and I don't read any books where I feel the creators hate me. There's some heavy-handed ones out there, but they're so few and far between. It blows my mind that channels are built solely on focusing on like 3 writers that are naturally heavy-handed. Like, there's people out there that they connect with, that agree with them, that feel that way, that believe that way. Those books are needed for them. It's just.
Well, and I know I'm just like extending the show, but one of the like truly unique things about comics is how directly supported you are by the fans. That anybody that's made it anywhere in comics is typically extremely appreciative of the fans because they know how directly supported they are. Versus like movies where it's like, well, I had a $1 billion box office, so like, what if you don't like my stuff? Like one person hurts a lot more in comics because of how directly supported you are by your fan base. So the idea that like these creators hate their fans, like that seems pretty asinine in the
Crazy.
context of comics, especially,
Mm-hmm. Hey, Becker and the guy who loves Kevin Smith comics. We'll end it on TM taking a shot at Becker, because it's now we drug this. We shouldn't have brought up ISOM. It always opens up a can of worms.
I know, right?
I told y'all. I hate that I made that video. Chris, I enjoy your sweet face though.
Appreciate that. Right back.
All yours too.
Thank you,
Ryan.
What you can see of it.
Exactly.
Guys, I hope y'all have a fantastic Monday. I've got a crazy day tomorrow. Hope to see everybody on Rob's channel, or at least in the chat. And until next time, as always, we are Legion.